There is a particular kind of quiet that settles over a place when the people who loved it most decide to leave. Not the dramatic exit, not the public declaration, not the viral video of someone throwing their annual pass in a trash can outside the gate. Just the slow, accumulating weight of a decision made in the middle of a Tuesday evening when someone looks at the renewal price and realizes, for the first time, that the math no longer works. That the thing they once paid for without thinking now requires the kind of thought that kills the magic entirely. You may know someone who reached that moment. You may have reached it yourself. You paid once, you showed up whenever you wanted, and the place felt like yours. A Tuesday fireworks show over the World Showcase Lagoon on 40 minutes notice. A Saturday morning rope drop because your kids were awake early and the drive was short. The cast member at the gate who smiled and said welcome home and meant it, or performed it well enough that the difference didn't matter. That version of the relationship between Disney and its most loyal guests is functionally over. What replaced it is a system so precisely engineered to extract value from devotion that the people who love the parks most have become, in the language of Disney's own earnings calls, a problem to be managed rather than a relationship to be honored. And the specific number spoken on the record by Disney's own chief executive, the one that explains why none of this is accidental and none of it is going to reverse, is what this is about. Because when you trace what happened to the Disney annual pass, from the first one sold in 1982, through the lawsuits and the arbitration clauses, and the reservation systems, applied exclusively to the people paying the most, you understand something about how an institution treats the people who trust it most. And what Disney's treatment of its most loyal guests reveals about the broader financial architecture behind the parks is something that goes far beyond a price increase. We are going to look at what the annual pass used to be, the moment it changed and why, the specific policy decisions that turned a loyalty product into a crowd management instrument, and the CEO quote that confirmed the entire strategic shift was deliberate. We are going to get to a number that explains why record profits and increasingly empty corridors are not contradictions. They are, it turns out, exactly the same story. To understand what was lost, you have to understand what was there. Walt Disney World introduced its first annual pass in 1982 at $100. By 1984, it had risen to $125. What that price purchased, by the standards of any loyalty program that currently exists in the American leisure industry, was almost surreal in its generosity. Unlimited park admission, free parking, no blackout dates on the top tier. Show up when you want, leave when you want, come back tomorrow. The philosophy behind the pass was an extension of what Walt Disney had written into the original Disneyland prospectus in the 1950s. That the parks were for families, that families should feel welcome, and that the relationship between the guest and the place should be built on something more durable than a single transaction. Over the following 2 decades, Disney kept adding to the proposition. A free magic band would arrive at your house before the trip, your room key and park ticket and payment method embedded in a rubber bracelet that made the entire vacation feel like it had been personally prepared for you. Disney's Magical Express, a free motor coach service, picked you up at Orlando International Airport and delivered you directly to your resort without any need to interact with a rental car counter or a shuttle schedule. Extra Magic Hours gave resort hotel guests access to the parks an hour before they opened and 2 hours after they closed, creating a version of Disney World that felt exclusive without requiring anything beyond the price of the room. And then there was FastPass. Beginning in 1999, a simple paper ticket pulled from a machine near an attraction gave you a return window. Come back between 2 and 3 in the afternoon, the ticket said, and walk onto Splash Mountain with a 5-minute wait while the standby line stretched an hour and a half down the switchbacks. It was free. It was included with your park admission. For a family on a budget, it was the single feature that most reliably made a Disney trip feel like it had been designed with them, specifically in mind, rather than engineered to extract the maximum possible dollar amount from their vacation. FastPass was upgraded to FastPass Plus in 2013, allowing guests to book 3 ride reservations up to 60 days in advance through a digital system. Annual pass holders could plan their park days with a precision that used to require either luck or a very early arrival. You rode Space Mountain at 8:15 in the morning with almost no wait because you had booked it from your kitchen table in November. That system existed for 22 years. The pass created something that no marketing department designed and no executive approved on a whiteboard. It created a culture, Florida locals who treated the parks the way other people treat a gym membership or a favorite restaurant. Families from Georgia and Tennessee and the Carolinas who built 2 vacations a year around their renewal date. Who knew which park was least crowded on which day of the week? Who had a favorite table at Be Our Guest and a favorite spot near the lagoon for illuminations? These were not casual visitors. These were people who had organized a portion of their identity around a place, who had handed the tradition to their children, who renewed the pass, not because they had carefully analyzed the cost per visit, but because not renewing would have meant acknowledging that something they loved had changed into something they didn't recognize. And Disney understood this. Understood it so completely that the exploitation of it, when it came, was not clumsy or accidental. It was precise. On March 15th, 2020, Walt Disney World closed for the pandemic. When the parks reopened on July 11th of that year, they reopened with a new requirement that nobody had asked for, and that Disney framed carefully as a temporary health and safety measure. Every guest, including annual pass holders, now had to book a park reservation in advance just to enter. The logic was contact tracing and capacity management. The application, it turned out, was permanent. Sales of new annual passes were frozen when the parks closed. They did not come back in any recognizable form until September 2021, when Disney launched a new pass tier structure under new branding. The top tier, the IncrediPass, debuted at $1,299. Theme park analyst Martin Spiegel told press at the time that the pandemic had given Disney and other operators the opportunity to eliminate programs, add programs, and accelerate per capita spending across the theme park industry. The pandemic did not create the strategy. It created the cover. Within 3 months of the new pass launching, Disney suspended sales of the IncrediPass, the Sorcerer Pass, and the Pirate Pass. The 3 most popular tiers were pulled from the market less than 90 days after being introduced. Disney's stated reason was that it wanted to provide a great experience for its pass holders. The passes did not return to sale until April 20th, 2023, 18 months after they were suspended. Disney literally stopped selling its own flagship loyalty product for a year and a half. And when it came back, it did not come back at $1,299. By the time the IncrediPass returned to availability, the price had moved to $1,399. Then, $1,449. Then, on October 8th, 2025, Disney raised it again to $1,629. Add Florida's 6.12% sales tax, and the out-of-pocket cost reaches $1,735. That $125 pass from 1984, adjusted to $1,629 in 2025, represents a price increase of 1,203%. Inflation over the same period would account for roughly a 3-fold increase. The gap between what inflation explains and what Disney charges is the gap between what the product is worth and what the company has determined its most devoted customers will absorb before they stop absorbing it. And the price is only the beginning of what changed. Because at the same time the price was rising, the contents of the pass were being methodically removed. PhotoPass, which had been included with the top-tier annual pass for years, is now a $99 add-on purchase. Water park access, also previously bundled, is another $109. Free magic bands, the wristbands that once arrived at your house before your trip as a symbol of Disney's attention to the guest experience, were discontinued for all guests in January 2021. Magical Express, the free airport shuttle that had been operating since 2005, was permanently eliminated on January 1st, 2022. Extra magic hours, the early and late park access that had been a defining benefit for resort guests for decades, were restructured into a reduced early entry program and an extended evening experience, now available exclusively to guests staying at deluxe resort hotels. A price analysis by a Disney vacation cost tracking service found that the fully loaded Disney World vacation price had risen approximately 91% over 10 years. In 5 years, the price of the top-tier annual pass rose 25%, while the pass itself delivered fewer benefits. The product cost more and included less, and the audience that had built their leisure identity around it was given no structural recourse beyond accepting the terms or leaving. Many of them accepted. Many of them are still accepting, but some of them went further. At Disneyland, the situation reached a point that required federal litigation to document. In January 2021, Disneyland canceled its annual pass program entirely after nearly 40 years of continuous operation. It replaced it with a new product called the Magic Key. The top tier, the Dream Key, was priced at $1,399 and advertised no blackout dates. A pass holder named Janae Nelson paid $1,399 for that promise. She then attempted to book a weekend reservation and found that no reservation slots were available to her as a Magic Key holder, even though single-day tickets were being sold to members of the general public for those exact same dates. Janae Nelson did what the situation required. She bought a separate single-day ticket to enter Disneyland, despite already holding the most expensive pass Disney offered. The resulting class action lawsuit alleged that Disneyland had effectively created a two-tier access system in which daily ticket holders received preferential park access over pass holders paying the highest annual fee. The suit sought $5 million in damages and claimed that a reasonable consumer would have been misled by the Dream Key's advertised terms. Federal Judge David Carter ruled that the case could proceed, writing that the court found the plaintiff had adequately pled facts supporting how a reasonable consumer may have been deceived. Disney's response was not to fix the reservation system that had prevented the most expensive pass holder from entering the park she had paid to access. Disney's response was to eliminate the Dream Key entirely, add binding arbitration clauses to the remaining pass tiers, and reclassify the annual pass legally as a limited revocable license to enter language that shifted the nature of the product from a commitment to a permission. A limited revocable license to enter. That is the legal language Disney chose to describe the relationship with the guests who had been showing up every weekend for years. Not a membership, not a loyalty product, a revocable license. Now here is where the math connects to the strategy, and the strategy connects to the quote. In fiscal year 2025, Disney Experiences posted a record $10 billion in operating income, an increase of $723 million from the prior year. Per capita guest spending rose 5% domestically. Domestic park attendance fell 1%. Disney made more money from fewer people, which is either a sign of operational efficiency or a sign that the audience is contracting and the company is compensating through extraction, or more precisely, both. Because here is what Disney's own chief executive said, on the record, about the pass holder specifically. Bob Chapek, then serving as chief executive officer, stated on a 2020 earnings call that a guest who stays on property for 5 to 7 days is marginally more valuable than an annual pass holder, because pass holders consume less merchandise and food and beverage per visit. He was speaking the logic of the model plainly. The pass holder who comes on a Tuesday evening to watch fireworks and buys a pretzel and goes home has, in Disney's financial architecture, delivered less value than the first-time visitor from Louisville, who stays at a deluxe resort for 6 nights, buys Lightning Lane every day, eats 2 sit-down meals per day, and spends $400 in the gift shop on the last morning, because they are not coming back and they know it. Bob Iger, returning as chief executive in late 2022, was more explicit about the directional intent. He stated that Disney's goal was to shift the mix away from annual pass holders toward guests who may come just once in a lifetime. He said this publicly. It was not leaked. It was not obtained through a source. The chief executive of Walt Disney World described, in investor-facing language, A deliberate, strategic decision to deprioritize the most loyal segment of the customer base in favor of the least loyal one. That is the number the whole story has been building toward. Not a financial figure, a policy statement. The annual pass is not designed to reward loyalty. It is designed to manage it, to slow it, to cap the number of low-spending visits from high-frequency guests so that the available capacity can be filled with higher-margin first-time visitors who do not know yet that the fireworks are free from outside the Dade Park. And FastPass, the free system that ran from 1999 to 2020, that defined what it meant to be a Disney pass holder for over 2 decades. That was the single benefit most responsible for making devoted guests feel that the parks were designed for them, is now Lightning Lane. As of 2025, Lightning Lane Multipass on a peak day at Magic Kingdom costs $45 per person. The premium tier, Lightning Lane Premier Pass, runs up to $429 per person per day during the busiest periods of the year. A family of 4 paying full Premier Pass across a 5-day trip can spend more on line access alone than the annual pass cost in 1984. A service Disney gave away for 22 years is now one of the primary drivers of per capita spending growth in the parks. The thing that used to make a Disney trip feel like it was designed for you is now the revenue engine that explains how record profits are posted from a shrinking attendance base. And the audience that built their identity around the parks, the people who renewed without thinking because not renewing, felt like a kind of grief, has noticed. Not all at once, not in a single moment, but in the accumulated weight of a reservation system that does not apply to day guests. A pass that costs $1,735 and delivers less than the $125 version delivered in 1984. A legal reclassification from member to licensee, and an earnings call where the chief executive explained that their spending behavior made them the wrong kind of guest. September 2025 was, according to Disney vacation bloggers and park observers who track crowd data, the quietest month at Walt Disney World since the fall of 2021. Average posted wait times dropped to approximately 24 minutes across the parks. Visitors posted videos to social media describing corridors that felt like ghost towns on weekdays. The parks were not closed. They were not understaffed. They were simply less full, in the way a restaurant becomes less full when it raises prices twice in 2 years and reduces the portion size both times. What happened to the Disney annual pass holder is not unique to Disney. The playbook is running simultaneously across every loyalty program in the American consumer economy. Airline miles that once purchased a domestic flight now require twice the points for the same seat in the same cabin. Hotel loyalty programs that once delivered reliable upgrades now deliver points that expire before they accumulate into anything useful. Streaming bundles that launched at $8 a month have added ad tiers, raised prices, and split libraries across multiple services, while the monthly cost of watching everything you used to watch keeps climbing. The pattern is identical in every case. A company builds a loyal audience through genuine value. It earns trust over years or decades. It identifies, through internal financial analysis, that the most loyal customers are also the most price-tolerant, that devotion functions in a discounted cash flow model as a subsidy, and then it begins to extract, incrementally and carefully, the maximum amount that devotion will absorb before it converts into departure. The Disney pass holder who drove 40 minutes to Epcot on a Tuesday evening in 2015 and watched the fireworks over the lagoon was, in the language of a 2024 quarterly earnings presentation, a low-value visit. The food and beverage spend was low. The merchandise spend was low. The capacity consumed was real. The margin contribution, compared to a family from Wisconsin staying 7 nights at the Polynesian and buying Lightning Lane every day, was insufficient to justify the infrastructure it required. That is not a cynical framing. That is the financial logic, stated plainly. That explains every specific policy decision Disney has made regarding its annual pass program since 2020. The reservation system that applies to pass holders, but not day guests. the suspension of pass sales for 18 months, the removal of benefits while the price increased by more than 1,000% from the original product, the legal reclassification from pass to limited license, the CEO statement about shifting the mix toward once-in-a-lifetime visitors. None of it was accidental. All of it was arithmetic. The castle still lights up every evening. The IncrediPass is still available for purchase at $1,735 before tax. The cast members at the gate still say "Welcome home," or a version of it. The parks themselves, in terms of the physical experience they deliver, are in many ways the most technically sophisticated they have ever been. The attractions are more immersive, the technology more responsive, the food and beverage options more varied than anything that existed when the first annual pass was sold in 1982. And yet, what the most devoted segment of the audience has lost is not an amenity, it is a relationship. The sense that the parks belong to them in some way that was not purely transactional, that their history with the place was acknowledged by the place, that their loyalty had accumulated into something recognized and reciprocated. That version of the relationship was not a product line. It was a culture, built over decades by families who showed up not because the cost per visit analysis justified it, but because showing up was the point. Disney looked at that culture and saw a financial inefficiency. The math was not wrong. The culture was real. The loyalty was real. And the loyalty absorbed price increases that a rational economic actor would have rejected 5 years earlier. But the extraction eventually exceeds what even devotion can sustain. And the quietest September at Walt Disney World since 2021, the 24-minute average wait times on a weekday afternoon, the social media videos of corridors with no lines, are not evidence of a park system failing. They are evidence of a park system succeeding at something its most devoted guests were never supposed to notice it was doing. Disney did not lose its most loyal fans by accident. It looked at what those fans were worth per visit. It compared that number to what a family spending their first and only Disney trip would spend in the same footprint over the same days. It ran the model, and it made a decision. The annual pass is still for sale. What it purchases has been narrowed, repriced, legally redefined, and strategically deprioritized. The culture that grew up around it, the Tuesday fireworks, the rope drop on a whim, the cast member who said "Welcome home," exists now primarily as a memory that makes the loss feel like something more than a price increase. Because it is. What was lost was not a perk, it was a promise. The promise that the most loyal guests were the most valued ones, that showing up again and again counted for something beyond the dollar amount of each individual visit, that the relationship between a person and a place they loved was honored by the place in return. Walt Disney, in the original prospectus for Disneyland, wrote that the parks would have none of the pitches, game wheels, or sharp practices designed to milk the visitor's pocketbook. He wrote that down. It was a founding document. The Lightning Lane Premier Pass, on a peak day at Magic Kingdom, costs $429 per person. The family of 4 who paid for it this past holiday season spent more on line access alone than a Walt Disney World annual pass cost in its first decade of existence. The pocketbook is no longer incidental to the experience. It is the mechanism through which the experience is rationed. That is not a deviation from the plan. According to every earnings call, every quarterly filing, every investor presentation Disney has published since 2021, it is the plan, and the plan is working. Record operating income, record per capita spending, a smaller audience, each paying more. The people who loved the parks most are still there, some of them, absorbing the price, recalculating the math, deciding one more year, and then reassessing. Some of them have already left. They did not announce it. They just did not renew. And somewhere in that gap, between the Tuesday evening fireworks they remember and the reservation system that would now require them to book that experience 30 days in advance, the most devoted Disney audience in the world has learned something that corporations always hope their most loyal customers never figure out. That devotion, when it is treated as a resource to be extracted rather than a relationship to be honored, has a limit. And the specific moment when a loyal customer crosses that limit is the moment they stop being the most captive audience in the American leisure industry and become, simply, someone who used to go. The annual pass is still for sale. The fireworks still go off. The castle still lights up. But the family that used to drive 40 minutes on a Tuesday evening because they felt like it, because the place felt like theirs, because welcome home meant something, that family is doing math now. And the math, for the first time in a very long time, is not working out.